Board games. Innocent fun, right? A time where you could bond with friends and family alike.
What? Wrong. Absolutely wrong. Some of these board games have destroyed, annihilated, crumbled for relationships, made friends into enemies, and worst of all, the worst of all things, have made Thanksgiving so freaking awkward. I hate Monopoly.
Today we'll be talking about the board games that bring out the absolute worst in people. Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Nerdy Volume Podcast. Today, we're going to be doing something a little different than our normal episode.
We're talking about the worst board games on the planet.
Not so much the worst, but the one that brings out the worst in people.
Yeah,
brings out the inner beast that you never knew existed.
The 2-year-old tantrums that make people just go insane.
The games that make you flip the table upside down. Probably make you have to clean it up in like 10 minutes. But normally when you see that meme, no one ever thinks about the cleanup. But I always think about the cleanup.
You would think about
I
the
will
cleanup.
always think, jeez. No, everybody always want, food fights. That's a game, in a way.
Somebody's got to clean that up.
Someone's going to clean it up.
That janitor's not going to have a good time.
Nah, he'll quit. They'll quit for sure. All right, so to kind of like, start things off. We have... so we played a lot of games between the two of us. Mm-hmm. I would say in the hundreds, maybe, I wouldn't say thousands, but hundreds for sure. Maybe like under 200 games, maybe 300.
With him and Randolph probably holding more than half of that.
This is true. I think I have about 70 games here.
The other game.
Maybe 80. We have games like simple games that wouldn't ever kind of have bad relationships or ending of relationships would be like games like categories. That's an easy one.
Easy.
However, there is a rule in categories that if you have the same word, you guys cancel each other's points out. So, like, if you rolled...
Santo mío, Padre de Dios. The ghost was not happy there.
Raph did not want to be there.
No.
Raph is... Yeah, you know what? We'll just keep going.
Oh, that was scary, wasn't it?
That was a little scary right there. I'll have to
readjust
it later. Those magnets are expensive. Anyway, where was I?
You were talking about some games are nice.
Categories. So categories, you roll the dice and there's a certain letter that will, it'll show up and you use that letter on your sheet that everybody has to agree on. There's a list 1 through 16, and let's say you're on the first list, and number 1 is a boy's name, and then you rolled on B for boy, and the boy's name is the first one that you put up. Some people would put Ben. What are the names? Bobby,
Billy.
You know what I mean? Like those are the kind
Bruce.
of Bruce. Those are like some names that we come up with in the split minute to 3 minutes that we have, depending on the difficulty of the game. 3 minutes being, a pretty loose, easy game. 1 minute being you're intense. So if you write the same name, so if I put Billy, you put Billy, we don't get that point. If we put Bruce Banner, that's 2 points. If someone else put Bruce Banner, that's 0 points. You see how I'm saying?
Yeah.
So although they don't destroy relationships, sometimes that would actually bring them together. Like especially if a couple did the same thing, you'd be like, "Oh, babe.
Oh my gosh, we're thinking of the same thing."
But that happens if that happens too often.
Okay, stop thinking about it.
Stop it. So games like that, normally you wouldn't see. The absolute horror of someone else.
Yeah.
Games like Sorry. I was talking about Sorry earlier to you. And you said you haven't played it since we were kids. That makes sense. I haven't played it.
And that's if I even played it correctly. I remember vaguely Sorry, and I can't say whether or not I played it even correct. I didn't like to read.
Dude,
so I didn't like to read the rules. So I just made up my own.
It makes sense if you didn't like to read, and that game, especially with 11, the card 11, had a certain effect to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You could bring, so in Sorry, all of your meeples or your pawns or whatever are in a little like globe that is stuck. You have to roll, or you have to like pull, I think, a move card. There was like 2 different types of move cards, but there was a third one, which is the number 11. And that makes you grab yours from inside of your globe or your starting point, and you bump the other player's one off the board and back into their starting point.
That game was meant to piss people off.
Yeah, it's Sorry. It's like, sorry. It's like, I'll just say, if you think about it, it's like, it's almost like you're in line, but like you didn't know that guy was in line. You just see one person in front of you, at the grocery store, but you didn't know they came with someone else. So they just go, sorry. That's what that card was. And Sorry to me feels like one of them, you gotta watch who you play with and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like,
it's got to be somebody, like all these games in the end are games that you're like, yeah, I don't mind losing them as a friend. Well, we can end it here. It's okay. You don't play with your best friend. You just play with the one who, I really don't like them to begin with. I don't even really, if you ask me, give you 3 reasons why I like this person, I don't know if I could give you one. Those are these kinds of games. But we make the mistake of playing them with our friends, the ones we enjoy, our wives, our girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever.
Yeah. Do you have any right off the bat that reminds you of some that's kind of like low tier on the I hate playing with this person kind of game?
Oh, yeah. Codenames. Codenames is definitely a game. You have to really be on the same page, man. If you're not thinking the same, I sometimes my way of thinking may be a little too analytical or too abstract, or it could be random places all the time. I know that analytical and abstract are opposite ends of the same thing, I feel like. But sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, that would work. And then I'll say, whatever word that will match them, and then they're just like, they won't get them. And it's like, how does that even work? How can you even say that that's the same thing? I'm like, I don't know. Or my wife is even worse at it, because my wife is, her like strings of thought are so far apart that like, if you ever have a conversation with her, she will literally, for example, she'll be starting to talk to you about dogs, and then out of nowhere, will talk to you about stars, and then jump to fishes, and then we'll jump to the mountains. Like, how does all those things connect to each other? But if you ask her, she will go through the entire thought process, and then you're just like, well, nobody else was going to figure that out. So playing code names with her is kind of like that. She's like, oh yeah, these all make sense. Oh. And I'm just sitting there going, yeah, so fire and seaweed don't make any sense to me. Whatever the word might be. Right. So yeah, it's code word definitely is a game.
Yeah. I can see that. It's definitely on a lower tier because you're not angry at the opponent. You're angry with your team. Yeah.
Right.
I remember when me and my brother first actually played Codenames. I knew that we would get it, like, as long as we're not thinking of it analytically, we would instantly just kill it. We'll just crush it. And so the first game or first couple games, me and my brother were just throwing down, and it was with our friends that we normally play board games with. I was like, wow. And
that's crazy. I was in there.
when we first started getting the board games, right? This is when we first started getting the board games.
Right.
This is before I owned Codenames, and so we would just crush it. So when I introduced the game to other people, and my brother was with me, I suggested that we not be on each other's team. And then the one time we go back to being on a team because people wanted to face us, we sucked. I mean, we still won, but we sucked. Like, we're like, dude, what happened the first? He's like, I don't know what happened, but it's good that we're separating because we both knew how to play the game, and we normally separated because people we played with didn't know how to play it yet. But when people do know how to play it, oh man, it's funny that you say Codenames. So I played with my buddy who is a performer, a singer-songwriter, performer out here in Vegas, and he and his now ex-wife, but it wasn't because of the game, but him and his ex-wife was playing with me and my brother, and we played that. And the amount of arguments that was going on did not make sense to me. I'm all like, I was like, I know what you guys are thinking, but you guys are probably just not on the same page right now. But dude, like, he was saying things like, babe, you got to get into my mind. You're not in my mind. You know nothing about me. And she's like, what do you mean? And then when it was the reverse, she's like, babe, you don't get me? Oh my God. It was crazy. And I'm like, this game isn't all that serious. And so it was me and my brother versus them. And, I was just like, they could probably handle it, being together they could probably be pretty strong in it. But no, they were two alphas, so to speak, that never wanted to let up on the other person. So in a way, yeah, that game is actually can bring out the worst in people, but it's actually your teammates.
Yeah.
And not
the opponents.
Not the opponents.
Yeah,
no.
yeah, for sure.
What is another low tier? Telestrations.
I love that game.
That game is great.
Actually, I will tell you, Telestrations, I've never had a problem playing Telestrations. Although no, sometimes I think my picture or my word is like the better one, and I'm like, how did I not get the point for that? Mm-hmm. Because don't they give you a point for like the best one or something like that?
Yeah.
Right?
There's 3 ways to get points.
Yeah, and I'm like, mine was pretty dope. But then I have my sister who's literally an artist, and she has 3 colors, but somehow makes the entire rainbow show up on it. And
pixelated.
Yeah, it's like what would take a person like hours to do, she does it in that 30 seconds of the little thing, and I'm just like, what? This is not a fair game, But other than that, I've never gotten upset during Telestation. I think it's just a freaking funny game. I think you introduced me to that game a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it was the best. It was the best time. After that game, I went to my wife. This was before we got married, though, and I'm like, we have to buy this game. And then I played it with my parents, and we played it for like every single time we got together, and we bought the expansion pack, so that's like 12
people. Oh my gosh!
Because there were a bunch of us. It's like my brother, his fiance, my sister, her husband, my dad, my mom, me, my wife, right? So there's 8 of us there.
Oh, wow.
And so it was such a good time. I love that game. I've never had a bad experience with it, but I can see how people can.
Yeah. And a lot of it, so especially if you're winning the game and then all of a sudden there's a curveball of a drawing, like, especially if somebody doesn't know
the word. Yeah.
Like, if you've played Telestrations After Dark, which is the more 18 plus version of the game, there was it rigor mortis? Is that what it is? Is that the term?
Rigor mortis?
Yeah.
When a person is dead and they're stiff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was one of the words.
How do you even draw that?
Yeah, dude. And so I wanted to use this as an example, but I forgot their idea of it. Oh, geez, it's gonna eat me up later. But they had no idea what to do on how to draw it. It ended up being a stuffed animal, or no, it ended up being a sex toy. They thought it was a sex toy because they thought it was toys. And I'm like, how did we? What? And then rigor mortis was the word. Everybody's like, what? And some people were mad. They're like, isn't that, they're like, and then so the guy who had the term, he wrote it wrong, or he drew it wrong first. And that's where it went haywire, which is the craziest. Mind you, now there's 2 different modes in playing it. If there's an odd number of people, you will have the word and draw it. If there's an even, if there's an even amount of people, you will write and draw the word. If there's an odd, you will write, but the next person will draw.
Yeah,
it's a little trip, and I really like that mechanic of the game. But sometimes people, if they get it easy, like grilled cheese, someone put like grilled, and then someone put like grilled cheese, right? And then someone put like barbecue, and then like you see them, they're like, bro, barbecue? There's a grill and cheese, there's a plus sign. They're like, oh, I just thought it was barbecue. I saw a barbecue grill, barbecue. And I was like, dang. So it's not so much where people get mad. It's more like people get careless in their answers. You know who you are.
So that one time we played together.
It was at Randall's, right?
Yeah, it was at Randall's house.
I remember, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if you remember, the word that I had was salad. And so I drew a salad.
Uh-huh.
This is what made me get the game, because I thought it was so hilarious. That's where it turned out. And as we get to the end, the person's like, slavery, and the drawing was like a bunch of like people being sold into slavery,
right.
And I'm like, bro, how did you get slavery? It's a salad. It's the carrots and lettuce and whatnot. And they're like, oh, that's not what I saw. I was just like,
oh my gosh, was that your book?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
Oh
was
my gosh.
busting up. Oh, that was the funniest thing ever. I was just like, how did we get to this point? But yeah, that game, I think that one is like that kind of like you get upset, but you're not actually upset. You're just like, that's so funny that it's dumb, and like, how do you not understand what I drew, or how do you not know what that word means?
Mm-hmm.
You know. So, but yeah, that game was.
It's definitely fun.
It is a fun game.
It's more fun than it is bringing out the worst in people.
Yeah.
But it can bring out some very irritating
You definitely
people.
can know who the dumb people are.
Yeah.
Or who the non-creative
Yeah.
ones are, because they can't draw to save their life. That's me.
But people who can't draw is actually the saving grace of the game. Because if they can't draw and they have to draw, good luck.
It's always the best part.
It's the best part, yeah. If you have like Picassos in there, then, they'll have to draw more obscurely. Like I had a buddy who actually, he's the one that introduced me to the game, and he drew a roller coaster in a carnival with fireworks, all in the same shot. And granted, the roller coaster was very detailed. You can see like the little like those little metal things that hold it up.
The frame.
Yeah, and I believe the word was screaming. And I'm like, and I was like, this is intense. I got it, but I was just like, roller coaster, fireworks, people screaming. There's an emphasis on the screaming. I'll just choose screaming.
That's crazy.
I got it. But
I would have definitely picked roller coaster.
yeah, and then that same person would so there's 3 ways to score in illustrations. There's, if your word goes all the way through the book, you get the point, and then you would give out, as the person that owns the book, would give out the best drawing. The other way is if your word does not make it up, you would choose the word that would get the point. It could be the one that is spot on your word, or it could be the one that makes it actually absolutely derail. And then, and that's how you score. Now, I guess that's where people can also get like, dude, that was a great one.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but this one was funnier.
Yeah.
And so depending on who your crowd is or your audience, you
For
should
sure.
definitely, do it. And you'll know whose book it is. And, oh, dude, I forgot where I was going with that, to be completely honest. I feel like I was going somewhere dope. Going to have to watch the tape again later. But we'll move on. We'll move on. Because I believe, oh, no, I remember now. Okay, so when you're guessing, normally it's 1 word or 2 words, that turns the phrase, or that, you think the book is talking about. The person that drew all the roller coasters, the fireworks, and the screaming also would write paragraphs of what it is. And somewhere in the paragraph would be the answer. And that would count, essentially. But there are people that make the game kind of interesting that way, too.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could do that.
You could, because it doesn't tell you can't.
Oh, okay. The loophole to the game.
Exploiting the bugs. All right, so let's do so those are kind of like the low tiers, granted code names can somewhat get to the middle. What are the mid-tier games that you think can...
Okay, so it's not a board game. It is a card game.
Okay.
So my brother brought this to me when he went to Chile, and he learned this over there, and he brought it... was it Chile? No, Peru. Sorry, he went to Peru. And he brought this game back, and it's called Cambio, right? Fantastic game. If you haven't played it, it's a card game. It's not a hard game to understand. It's just it's got a lot of rules though. Different suits have not different suits, but different faces have different abilities to them. It's a whole thing, right? But the whole point of the game is you get 4 cards and you stack them upside down, right? So you can't look at them. You stack them on the table, and everybody gets them, and then you get a few seconds to look at the bottom 2 cards that you set. So you stack 2 on top, 2 in the bottom, and then you look at the 2 bottom ones for a couple seconds, and then you put them down. And it's a memorizing game. So you're trying to memorize the cards that you have, and everybody's doing the same thing. The point of the game is to end up with the least amount of points. So you add up all the points of all the cards that you have, and you can get rid of cards during the game doing certain things. You can end up having more cards than 4 because you make mistakes, whatever the case may be. But the whole point is to have as little numbers, kind of like golf in that way, right? The smaller the number, you win the game. And whoever gets, you can pick what number, but usually it's like 100 points. Whoever gets to 100 points first loses the game. That's how it works. But some of these people, like my brother, and I've introduced this to a bunch of kids at my church. So now when we go on our little Mexico mission trips, Cambio is the game everybody's playing, right? Actually, we just had our winter retreat in December. And like half of them were all playing this game, and they were just yelling at each other. It got super intense. Some of these kids take it very serious, but like, because you could also like steal other people's cards and give them your cards, and if you have a really bad card, you can give it to them, and it becomes a thing, right? And then so when you flip your cards over and you see that you have like really bad cards, like 12s. Or like a king or a joker is the worst card. Joker gives you 30 points. And
Jokers are in the game.
Yeah. And you have jokers, and then you know that person gave it to you. Oh, does the blood stop boiling? You're like, I see you. I'm coming for you now. I'm coming for you. And my brother is ruthless. He is so good at the game. He's so good at memorizing, and then just handing you like queens and jacks and kings and jokers. He's just pounding all these things on you. And then he comes out like, oh, I have 2 points. Oh, you have 57? You're halfway there. It's only round one.
Jeez.
Yeah, so the game is fantastic. I love the game, but if you're a ruthless player, you'll make enemies quick.
I can see that.
Yeah, it's a fun game. I think I showed Randolph how to play it a while back.
Oh, yeah. He told me or you guys both told me you got a new card game that you were going to teach. Can't wait for that because I am now only hearing about it. It's been a couple months since they brought that up, just so you guys know.
Yeah.
This is another board game when you don't tell your friends about certain... It's actually right here. The funniest thing. Okay, so, all right. There are... that's cool. You brought up card games. Here's one I would say like is a mid-tier, is the game of Speed.
Oh.
The cards. Yeah, if you guys are unfamiliar with that, you deal out depending on the difficulty. You'll put 2 stacks of cards, or of 2 or 3 on left or right or whatever, and everybody will have the rest of the cards with 2 cards in the center, and both people flip the cards, and you must put down the order, or in order, the cards, and you got to get rid of your deck. I used to play that game a lot with my cousins, and
They're not his cousins anymore.
And they taught me that game. I thought it was the coolest game. Sometimes like you would hit each other's hands, and then like sometimes the deck would fall off to the side, and then they would have to clean it up. But if you clean it up, sometimes we forget the top, and so we just get in arguments about messing it up, and like you got to watch out, like it's more like not so much the game, but be careful, and I was a kid when I was learning it, so a lot of times I would be messing up. I was being like irritating, and I guess in that way. And also if you're being that way and you win, that person doesn't like you anymore. And so we stopped playing though, because I ended up beating my cousins. I was just like, this is absolutely, and then I got more careful, granted. And then I started teaching more people, and literally like sometimes you would hit each other's knuckles, especially it's like, but I mostly play with my female cousins, but when it was just me and like all my male cousins friggin' just pa, I'm like, ah. And then if you just do this for like 2 minutes, it's like, ow, they're already dropping like 3, 4, 5 cards. You
gotta play through the pain.
You gotta play through it. And so I would put that in the mid tier, because it may not be mental psychology kind of, animosity. It's the pain is for real sometimes. Granted, there's probably some people that's never gotten this, so they have no idea what I'm talking about. But if you do, it's so hard. Especially if you go up against people with gauntlets. All right? Freaking sword. and then sometimes the girls would scratch on accident. Like, when and they're really good at like dishing out the cards when they do their nails, but so they scratch. And they don't do it on purpose. Right. Hopefully. Right. But yeah, I would say that.
Man, when was the last time I played Speed? It's been a while. It's been a long while. That last time I played Speed. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that game can be super intense.
It can be intense because of how fast you have to be.
And then you're like, you didn't shuffle that deck properly.
Oh yeah, right.
You definitely gave yourself the better cards right there.
Yeah. And there's certain rules, and and I guess sometimes games change depending on the rules given. Like would be like I said on the sides, you could do 2 to 3 stacks on each side, or some people do five cards on each. So there's 12 in the middle, and then you split the rest of the 40 cards amongst each other, and that's norm. That's like I think that's the normal game. You have 20 cards each, and some like when I learned it, we had 23 cards each. So like I guess it's more of a challenge. But let me tell you, dude, like it can get crazy, especially if so. After you say you can't move in the game, you have to take the cards that's in the middle, and if you don't have any cards on the sides to to restart the set, you have to grab those piles and turn it over. Now, one person, because you normally have your own pile to flip over, because you have two side stacks. One person has a very tall deck and the other one has maybe a shorter one. Meaning that if you have the bigger deck, you have a disadvantage because you're the one spinning, you're turning it over. You know what I mean? And so sometimes I would use that to my advantage, and they would get mad. They're like, dude, you put all your cards here. I was just like, look, I didn't put it there because I wanted to. Or because, no, I did want to put it there because I wanted to. What am I saying? I didn't put that card there because it was supposed to be there, or I wanted to mess you up. It's just I needed to put it there because it's the only card I had to. That's my play. That was the play to move. But some people would get really mad at me to the point where they're like, dude, you cheated. Especially if I won at the end, and normally the case,
you won at the end.
I won at the end. Guys, I was pretty good. 6th grade, I played my entire class. I spanked them, but only like I spanked all the dudes in class, but the girls were the only ones that really could keep up. But it made sense. I mean, I learned from the ladies, so I don't know who they learned it from, but they destroyed me sometimes. But I was the reigning champ, most wins, 6th grade, baby, last year. What? Okay, so I think there's one more mid-tier game or mid-tier that would make people mad. Yeah.
What is that?
No, but do you have another one?
Yes.
All right, go ahead. You go
Have
first.
you ever played the game Pandemic?
Dude, yes. I love Pandemic.
I love Pandemic too.
You got into... Oh, that's a mid-tier for you? Whoa. Okay, I'm interested.
Yeah, because sometimes people are just making weird choices.
Oh, okay.
It's like... Bro, we could get rid of this virus. Mm-hmm. Just where are you going?
Yeah.
Just get to the CDC, man. Just get to the CDC.
Yeah.
Pandemic. Oh, you know another game? Have you ever played Gloomhaven?
Yes.
Gloomhaven is another one. It's like, what moves are you making?
That's a weird game.
That game also pisses me off. I get more upset at the game than I do at the other people around me making weird strategic movements. But sometimes I'm like trying to throw down like those high attack cards. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, why am I getting what? Why can't I kill this beast?
Yeah.
You know, but Pandemic definitely, I just want to shout out. I love my wife, and I know that my wife loves me. Because there's no reason for her to stay with me. Some of these games we get really intense, and I'm just like, that's how I know our bond is strong. Okay,
y'all are tight.
We are tight because even through the thick and thin, we come out okay at the end of it. But there's sometimes I'm just like, honey, what are you doing? Where are we going? You're literally 2 cities away from reaching why are you going around the world right now? And she said, "Oh, I just blah blah blah." I'm like, "No, just go to Atlanta. That's where the CDC is." Oh, but yeah, that's definitely a mid-tier. Have you ever played the legacy versions of those games?
I've never played a legacy version of that game.
So good. I'm so bummed out because I think they only came out with like season 1 and 2, and they never came out with the other 2.
Oh,
yeah. As far as I know.
I remember we played that. Me and my brother played that game, but we think alike. So and a lot of the time we would choose our characters, right?
Yeah.
Because you're allowed to.
Yeah.
But to make it harder, we would have to
just pick one.
Down, and pick one. And so for some reason we always lucked out on that. He would get the medic, and I would get the was it the dispatch? No. Who's the guy that makes the centers? Whoever makes the centers.
Yeah.
That person I would normally get.
Yeah.
So unless the medic is the one. No, the medic can cure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So So he would always get the medic for some reason, and if not him, I would. And we're like, once the medic is in the game, you're and you know how the game plays. You're pretty much good at this game.
Yeah.
But we would play, and then I would get the one that the research. Is it the researcher?
No, the researcher. What did the researcher do? I can't remember what the researcher did.
But yeah, so I would go around the world and I would space myself in between cities that are connected. So like Tokyo, San Francisco.
Is that really a ghost in here right now? Am I hearing things or is it just me? Oh, it's a table.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm just like, where is that sound?
So don't put a ghost in here, dog. I sleep here, dog. like I have a whole bedroom over here on this side.
That's so funny.
But yeah, so
you put yourself in the middle of
I put myself
cities.
in the middle of cities that connect, like Sao Paulo. I don't know how to say that word.
Yeah.
Mexico City, and I try to build there, and so like I kind of focus on my job. When you focus on your job, it works. But if you play with someone who doesn't know what they're doing, it is an absolute disaster.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was with my guitarist or not. He didn't know what his character did, although I explained it earlier. But he what we all knew is we need to cure people. But luckily, my brother's over there going through every city that has like 2 or more. Cure.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, and he's doing it strategically too. Sometimes because you have 4 moves and you go 1, 2, and then cure. And then I think that's like 1 action, and you can go to the next next one.
Yeah.
And then if you ascend a certain way, if you ascend your character, every city he walks in, no, you don't ascend. If you cured the
virus
pathogen, the virus, every time the medic walks through it, they're all gone.
Yeah.
It's all gone. Every city he touches, which is a brilliant play style. But I love that game.
It's such a good game.
But if you play with people that don't know how to play, it can be very intense.
Yeah.
And you always see those people that get really angry at not following the rules. If nobody knows how to play it, people always get angry. Like I am that very person that does that. Like I was like, I tell you the rules, and I normally play by the rules, so everybody knows to play by the rules. You know what I mean? So be like, if you play by the rules so much, you can kind of fudge it if you play with other people that know the rules. You can't with people that don't know the rules, because it's not that fun if you're just going to be manipulating somebody because you know the game better. It's no fun that way. You want people to have fun so you can manipulate them later. That's how you do it, guys. Yeah. Okay. So there's a game I play that I would consider mid-tier. It's really the game's fault, though.
Aren't they always?
Yeah. The game is called Hanabi. Now, Hanabi is an interesting game. That game was taught to me by my buddy Art Casey. You guys may have seen me and Randolph talking to him about his Mind Your Business board game on Kickstarter. And he had showed me this game. And I thought this game was... Man, I'm blanking out. What game was it? Hanabi, dang. Because I started to think about all the games that we played with him. So Art Casey is actually the one that introduced me to a ton of new games. Telestration is one of them. Codename's another. He was the one that, kind of introduced me to more than just the mainstream board games like Sorry, Trouble, and like, I don't know, everybody had Risk, and they had Cranium, and he took me outside of those. Quelf is like Cranium, but no one's ever heard of Quelf unless you play board games on a regular.
Quelf is the one with the cards and you have to do the action.
Yeah, like Cranium. Yeah.
I've never played Cranium, but Quelf, I love Quelf.
Yeah.
Such a funny game to play.
It's a funny game, yeah. It reminds me so much of Cranium because Cranium has 4 parts to it. It's a trivia of, I think, geography, singing, acting.
Damn, we got to play some of these games, man. Now
I want to play. Right? And I don't even have Cranium. Oh, or Quelf.
I have Quelf.
Yeah. Oh, you do?
Yeah.
See? And so Hanabi is a game that you can play. It's 8 years old and up. That's who's allowed to play it. And what it is there's about 60 tiles. I want to say 20. I don't know. Is it 60? Let me count.
Well, it counts. I just want to point out that this game is for 8-year-olds and up. They want the Ragers to start early.
So there's 5 colors and there's 10 pieces. So there's 50, but sometimes with my veteran game Hanabi players, we do 60. But there's 50 tiles, and you put them all face down, and everybody, depending on how many players there are. So this time I'll play a regular 4-player game. Everybody chooses 4 tiles, and they put the tiles in front of them, but the tiles, you don't know what they are. The person who has them, they don't know. But the entire table knows what you have. So as a team, you have to kind of figure out what you have, and you have to stack the colors with each other, going 1 to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 3 1s, there's 2 2s, 3s, and 4s, and there's only 1 5. So when you have to go around, and be like, you have 8 hints to give throughout 4 players. Each hint that you use goes away. To gain a hint, you have to discard. But to discard, you could discard a tile that you need. So as complicated as it sounds, remember, it's for 8-year-olds and up. Okay? So most of the time, people, they'll be like, oh, you have 2 ways to give clues. You can give the color, or you can give the number of the color, right? But you can't do both. So be like, oh, this is a yellow. You have to give, if he has more than 1 yellow, you have to tell him this and this is yellow, or all of them are yellow. You know what I mean? Just for example. Or like, this is a 1, but if there's another 1, you have to see these 2 are 1s. You can't be specific. And so like, that's the rules. So my buddy Art, he would be like, all right, so we kind of play this game differently. We have to be stoic. So normally, since 8-year-olds can play it, I'm assuming you can do expressions. Like, this is a 3. And then someone would be like, oh, I could play this 3. Like, I want to play it. And then the kid would be like, no, don't do it. Something like that. Like, no, wait. There's that action that you could do in this game. But we played it you cannot. So if they're going to do something wrong, you have to stay straight-faced until they do it wrong. And you're like, granted, for every wrong play, if there's for 3 wrong plays, the game is over and the game wins. So high stakes. If certain people have terrible memory, this game can be intense. And then granted, like, we were able to learn how to, like, kind of, tell which ones or which tile is what. Like, for 5s, I normally turn it on its side, and that's the only number I turn on to its side. For others, I kind of bunch together, and like, so there's certain ways to play depending on how you play it, and I'm giving everybody my tips. So now Hanabi might not be as difficult, but Hanabi can get people mad, especially if someone has bad memory. You're like, dude, I told you like 5 times. This is 3 1s. There's a mode where you can tell them, like, what do you know about your hand? And then they'll be like, oh, this is this is that, this is this. When they're wrong, you also have to keep a straight face. So, oh, I have 3 1s. And you know for sure you told them those are 2 4s and a 1. But if they say 3 1s and you can't be like, or you be like, just looking at them and then look away. You know what I mean? And it's always funny when you play with people that know that you play that way. And they're all like, is it wrong? And you got to keep a straight face. And then after the decision is made and it's wrong,
you give it to them.
You give it, like, bro, I told you 2 4s and a 1, and this is blue. Like, this is blue. And they're like, but I didn't know. I was like, look at the discard pile. By the way, the discard pile, you face up so you can kind of deduce what's left of the color. They're like, there are 1 4. There's 1 4 here. You just discarded this 4. That's the same one here. There's only 2 4s in the game. I'm like, or for this color. And you're like, and so you lose the chance of getting a perfect game, which is a big thing. You know what I mean? You want to get a perfect game. And granted, if you're playing with noobs, you want to at least get 20 points. But if you can't get past 2, the frustration. I played with my buddy and the fam the other day, and we were playing with people that weren't paying attention. And my friend's like, bruh, I wish it was just me, you, and your brother that was playing this right now. I was like, why? He's like, bro, no one's paying attention. And because of that, we lost big time. Because now, remember I said there's 3 1 tiles, there's 2 3s and 4s, and there's 1 5. We started getting rid of 4s in the beginning, and everyone was getting 4s. And then I saw what he needed to be told, like, don't get rid of that. But because no one was paying attention, They're talking, using the restroom, making plates of food, whatever the case is. They weren't in the game. They just went around. And then, so I had no hints. So they gave me a play, which is fine. That's how you kind of want to play, you know? But when I made my play, I already knew the possibility of us not getting that color. And let me tell you, we did not get that color. It was a white 4, and he got rid of the white 4, and the 4's already gone. And what was funny was he's like, he put the 4 down, and he was just like so mad. He like just sighed heavy, right? And then everybody's like, what was wrong? What's wrong? And then I'm like, well, none of us told him that needed to be moved. I couldn't, because I only had a play and no hints. And he knew that I would have told him, but I didn't have hints. But even if I did tell him, I would have to know that the others knew their position in the game. But, if you're not paying attention in that game, Hanabi, it can be a very frustrating issue.
I just thought of another game. I don't know if this is medium or top. I think it's a medium tier. So my wife doesn't like playing competitive games.
Okay.
She likes playing co-op games.
Yeah.
So a lot of the board games that we have, whatever, are very co-op-y.
You should play Hanabi. That's a very co-op game.
Yeah. It sounds like it. Mm-hmm. I should definitely do it. But there's a game called The Big Book of Madness.
Okay.
Such a good game. So good. And the whole idea is you're a bunch of wizards, like student wizards, and you accidentally open the Book of Madness, and all these monsters start to come out, and you all have every character has a specific they have specific abilities to them, and there's like fire, earth, water, and air. I think are the 4 like special types of magic that exist, and you get a bunch of like little cards that represent those 4 types of magic, and the whole point is each monster that shows up shows you what it needs to defeat it. So let's say it's 2 fire and a water, right? And then your cards can have different values to them. So you could have so you have the 4 elements, and then each element has either a 1, 2, or 3, right? 3 being the strongest, 1 being the weakest. So if it's like, oh, you need 2 water and air to kill this monster, you might have the 1 air, but another teammate has the 2 water that you need. So you both have to put it down or whatever. And you're doing that as you're playing the game. And then it's super difficult. This game is crazy hard. Like, I think my wife and I, we've played with our friends. The handful of times we've played it, or the 2 handfuls of times, I think we've won it twice. It is such a hard game to win. And there's different levels. So you can play like level 1, which is super easy, or level 4. And the thing is, every once in a while, I can't remember when exactly, but there's these cards called Madness cards. And those cards take up slots in your hand. So once you're full of Madness cards, you're out of the game. You can't play anymore, because there's only certain ways you can get rid of it, those Madness cards. And if you can't get rid of them, they start taking up the slots of your elements. So then you're out of the game. You're done. Right? Oh, this game is so frustrating. Wow. You get more upset at the game because it is so hard to, like, have you ever played 5 Minute Dungeon?
Yeah, I have the game.
So think of 5 Minute Dungeon, but like next level. It's like harder than 5 minutes. It has that kind of same feel.
I want to play it.
Except there's no time limit. Like there's no 5 minutes that you have to beat it. It's just I want to say there are 6. I want to say there's 6 like spaces that everybody needs to move. And at the end of that, if you don't defeat the monster, they have like a defeated side and a non-defeated side. And if you defeat it, you get the bonuses. And if you don't defeat it, you get the curses or whatever that come with it, which is, like for example, everybody collects 1 Madness card. And now you have a Madness card that you have to put in your deck. Becomes freaking insane. And sometimes you're just sitting there. It's such a great game. We should definitely play it. But that game is like medium tier frustration, bro.
I love it.
Yeah, sometimes you just want to flip that game over for sure.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That reminds me of like Friday the 13th. That's a solo game.
Friday the 13th?
Friday the 13th.
I don't think I played that one.
Yeah. Either. It's a solo game about you and this guy have to get off the island. You have a deck of cards, and each deck of cards determine what is going on.
Yeah.
And and I think the funniest thing is that the guy is kind of like stupid. So like if you're doing something well, he might break it and set you back a couple of days. And you have like a certain amount of days to get out of this situation you're in. And it's a very frustrating game, and it's very hard. I've yet to see anybody beat it. Yeah. Yeah, it's called Friday. I just think it's called Friday. And it's a solo game. It's fun. I've played it maybe twice. I almost won. But at the end, the guy did me dirty. So to speak. Yeah, whatever the case is. But anyway, so those are some of the games that some people didn't think would be angry. But I think we got a couple of the hardcore games that we don't like. You said it earlier in the intro.
I love this game and yet hate it so much. Monopoly, and I'm sure if you're a person who loves playing Monopoly, there's one of two things wrong with you. A, you've never played the game correctly, or B, you might be a sociopath and enjoy seeing other people just being absolutely tortured the entire time.
Or a potential billionaire in the making.
Who we've come to find out that a lot of billionaires and people that are part of the like top 500 companies are all kind of sociopaths.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, that's actually a good point.
Yeah. So point still stands.
Yeah, Monopoly.
Monopoly. You know what I just realized? So you can play Monopoly on like a console now. They have a digital version of the game.
Yeah, I see people stream it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I playing it digitally. I was like, oh, so I've been playing this game wrong my entire life. I did not know this is how you're supposed to play. Like every time you go to land on a territory, and if you can't afford it, you have to offer it up to other people. Like that territory gets offered up. I didn't know that. I thought it was like, oh, I can't afford it. Then you put it away. No, that has to be offered to somebody else. And then if nobody can afford it, then there's a level of bankruptcy or something like that. I don't know.
Wait, you have to. Oh, I thought you were just staying there though, right?
No, you have to buy it. If you land on a territory that hasn't been bought, you have to buy it. And if you can't buy it, then you offer it to the rest of the players to buy it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I thought you could just land on it and then choose to buy it or not, right? I think that's like the most common way everybody thinks it.
Yeah, didn't know that.
But it's not.
So if you land on it, you have to give it away.
If you land on it, you have to buy it. And if you can't buy it, then you have to offer it to the rest of the players and see if anybody can buy it. So if you land on Boardwalk, for example, but you can't purchase it, and everybody wants Boardwalk, right?
Yeah, of course.
If you can't purchase Boardwalk, but I can, so then you have to go, oh, does anybody want to buy this? I will buy it right off of you. I don't have to land on it anymore. Exactly. You did it for me.
Exactly.
Right, and then it's my territory, and then you have to pay the fees.
I know why people don't do the offer. It's because you lose money faster if you were to buy it. And normally that's probably like beginning game kind of mechanic. I never knew that.
Yeah.
I can see a lot of people getting angry at that.
Well, my brother is just sociopath. No, but he's not. But I hated playing that game with my. I hate playing that game in general. I know I'm not made for Wall Street. Because I am not ruthless or cutthroat. Like I felt bad if I had one of like the rich properties, right? The last line, and I had one, and then somebody lands on it, and like, oh, but I can't afford it, and I'd be like, okay, I guess you don't have to pay me. I would feel so bad. And I hated playing the game because I would hate making people pay for one. I remember once I played with a cousin of mine, actually two of my cousins. We started that game sometime in the afternoon, like after lunch. We never finished the game. We stopped playing like at 4 a.m. because we could not end the game.
Oh my gosh.
We just kept going. And my cousin and my brother being they were full on Wolf of Wall Street situation, man. They were trying to just steal everybody's money. I was like, I hate this game. Stop stealing my money. I just want to live a peaceful life next to waterworks, man.
Yeah. You can't play Monopoly like casually. You have to go in there as cutthroat.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. I actually played have you ever played the credit card version of Monopoly?
Once.
Yeah. So I played that version, which is awesome because there's like less, to buy, or not less to buy, less to deal with when setting up the game. And that's when I actually figured out how to end the game, because I ended 2 games with the credit card one. And it was because I bought hotels on everywhere, and everybody kept landing on my stuff. When you land, and then I started making negotiations.
Yeah.
I'm like, just give me your land right there. And then when they gave me that land with the money that they paid me last time because they landed on my hotel, more hotels. I was like, guys, like that's how you play the game. And then trades are always made. You know what I mean? Like some people, like when people get the 4 trains, you have like a certain like, you know, bonus. So I had 1 train, they had 3. I would give them the train, but they would have to give me something, and it would be normally like that yellow corner. I'm like, give me that yellow corner, and or the one yellow that they have to my 2, and they're like, okay. So I grabbed that, boom, hotels. I was like, guys, like you think you're gonna win the bonus, but there's a move. You know, there's a way to move. You want to get the most money, and trading is a great way to destroy your opponents. And smart trading is even better.
You'd be a person I would hate to play this game with.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
I would not be able to.
But it all depends though, because I could land on your property and you could do exactly that to me.
I know, but I'm not ruthless enough to do it. That's the problem. I would feel bad.
Yeah. Well, here's going to change your mindset. It's not about being ruthless. It's about ending the game.
You're right.
You ain't going to be here for 4 hours. I ended the game in 45 minutes.
That's the quickest I've ever heard a Monopoly game end.
Yeah, it's because I got the orange.
And that same moment, you ended your relationship with those people. Never saw them again.
Actually, it was Keone. Yeah, no, I played with him, and he's like, "Whoa, what the heck?" And he's like, I was just like, "Yeah, no, I traded with you, but there was only because I started trading because that's the only thing I could think of because they didn't have money." I was like, "What do we do?" I was like, "I think it was just give me like some of your land or something like that." And then there's a value in the back. I was like, "Oh, duh." All right, you owe me 250. That's 140. All right, give me that. And you're even. You know what I mean? And then because automatically when you pass go, you get 200, so you're always gonna have money. But he had to pay taxes beforehand. So like a lot of people think the boardwalk and what was the other one?
The one next to it.
Yeah, boardwalk and
the one
River
next to
Park.
It?
No, everybody wants to get those because it pays the highest, but not a lot of people land in that area. But I will tell you which ones that do land or where people mostly land, and that's on the light blue and orange. It's right in the corner. It's the kitty corner on the left and right of the jail. Mm-hmm. That is the money makers. Granted, they are cheaper, but you put hotels on that bad boy or houses, like 2 houses starting, but that's when people yell at you. Yeah. Monopoly is one of them.
Yeah, Monopoly is definitely one.
Yeah. Some people say Catan.
Catan. I know Randolph says Catan.
Yeah, Randolph says Catan because some people... So in Catan, you build roads. And there's a score that you get for having the longest road. But people build roads in between those. And they break that chain. People get mad. Very mad. Also, when you roll a 7, you can control what is called a robber. And when you grab the robber goes on the number of or the resource that the robber goes on. And if you have a house on that resource that, gathers that said resource, the robber on there keeps it from you getting it. Yeah. And like brick is one of the biggest things that you need or brick and or wood are probably the biggest building pieces in that game. If you block them, they will get so mad. It's not even funny. They get pissed, okay? And so when people do that, it's just they get kind of touchy on it. And then when you block the numbers, and then, there's other things like when you have a development card is what it's called. And there's cards that tell you everybody has to give you a certain resource. People hate that card. You know what I mean? There's cards that give you instant victory points. There's cards that skip people's turns. I mean, there's a knight. When you have a knight, similar to running a 7, you have to move the robber. And another thing, when the robber is on you and you're one of the persons that has the resource control, you have to give a card to that player. So say you have 3 cards and it's enough to get you a development card, and they take one, and then it's your turn next. You know what I mean? Like now you have to roll and hope for the best. And the robber can only move until you roll a 7, or you get a card that tells you otherwise, like the knight. Let me tell you, people get mad, especially couples. Couples get mad, especially if you're going after each other. It's a beautiful thing. But it's always cool to go and help the weaker of the two. So if the wife is doing awesome, I am helping the wife. If the husband's doing great, I am going to be helping the husband, because it all depends on who's going to be the power play when you need it. You know what I mean? And so sometimes one of them could be losing, and you'd help them only because they have resources that you need, like sheep. Sheep, no one really cares about sheep, but if someone has it, you best believe I'm gonna help them. You know, like it's like Monopoly, where Monopoly is you want to kind of control the area. The other one is you kind of want to control the resource.
Yeah.
So in the beginning of the game, it determines whether you have the resource or not. And if you don't have it, it's very frustrating if you need it throughout the game and you cannot get it. Catan.
I think I've only played Catan maybe once or twice, and I think both times was with Randolph in the same night. So really, I've only ever played it one time. But yeah, I will say I can't remember being upset about the game, but that's because I had kind of like beginner's luck. I was moving really well. Could also be that they were being kind of like generous with me.
Yeah.
And not like destroying me right off the bat. No, but I remember there's a what's the card, like you needed 3 of the same card and then it would give you something.
A knight.
Was it a knight?
Uh-huh.
I had
when you
that.
get 3 knights, you have the knight card and it gives you 2 points.
Yeah. I got that. I was like, oh, this is pretty sick. All right. There was a card. Isn't there a card called The Longest Road? I got that card too.
Yeah, that's another 2 points. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I had all these cards. I'm like, man, this is working out for me. It's like, but yeah, I could definitely see you trying to build something and then somebody just, this is my space now. And you just kind of like, yeah, that would definitely piss people off. Yeah, but I think it's also, what games do you agree with us? Which games have you played and just want to strangle the other person or strangle the developers of the game?
Yeah.
That counts. That counts. Or if there's a game that we haven't said, leave those in the comment. Let us know. Are there any games that we should avoid completely so that our friendship never ends? Or you're jealous of us and you want us to break up, and so you should tell us what those games are.
I have an honorable mention. Pictionary. That's all I'm going to say.
Pictionary. Yeah.
Pictionary. Because when you don't know what I'm drawing, and I'm not going to say I'm a good drawer at all.
You're not.
But I know shapes. Okay?
What is
shapes? That is a.
Took you too long. We only have 30 seconds on the clock.
Trust me, I'm a good drawer. Okay. All right. Oh snap! No, because Pictionary or even charades. Charades can also sometimes like just.
I don't think I've ever played charades.
You never played charades?
No.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, Telestation was as close to charades I ever got to, or Pictionary.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've never played charades, but I understand the game. I know what the game is. I've always wanted to play it, but I would probably fail at the game. I'm not.
No, we'll play charades.
I'm not that smart.
There's that one game. I think we played it at Jay's house. I think for Christmas. Were you there for that Christmas?
No.
Oh dang. Okay. Yeah, we played that game. We had to. I was playing with. I had a bunch of kids on my team, and I had to be a fire hydrant. That was rough. Because I was like, I don't know what they know exactly, so I just went with the dog one first. Dog peeing on them.
Of course.
They're like, a dog peeing, pee. I'm like, and then I just stood like this. I was like, just like that. But yeah, no.
That's funny.
But that's going to wrap up this episode. Follow us on IG, Facebook, X, and TikTok. You can catch all of our videos here on YouTube. Please leave a review as it will help our podcast grow. Join our community on Discord. And thanks for hanging out with us, y'all. And don't forget,